I'm Madison.
I'm Chris.
And welcome to the most haunted city on earth. Hello, and welcome back to season 2 of the most haunted city on earth. My name is Madison Timmons. Woohoo!
I'm Chris Susie.
So we are here with a React kind of video podcast sort of thing.
We're experimenting. Season 2. Go, go, go.
Exactly. People tag us in videos pretty frequently on TikTok and are like Savannah Underground or, well, now Haunted City Podcast on TikTok. But they're like, what do you think of this? What is this? What is that? So we're here to tell you what we think about this and that. So basically how it's going to work for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you'll obviously get to see the video. We'll also leave some links so that way if you want to watch the video, you can after listening to it. But Chris will also describe to you, for those of you who are just listening on the podcast, Chris will describe to you what we are watching.
Yes, in perfect narrator form.
Yes. So with that, JT, would you like to?
Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and start with the first one. And this is going to come from Catherine I can't read it. Can't read it on the thing TikTok. Okay, that's cool. No worries. Catherine something. But y'all be able to see it if you're watching the video. All right, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
Oh.
I watched that video so many times, and if it's like an accidental overlay of like a previous recorded video, it would look like a ghost, not like something with freaking hooves.
Right?
But I'd love to know your thoughts, guys. What do you think that this video was? Put it in the comment section.
Can you play the part of the hooved creature again?
Yes, for sure.
So what we're watching is a video in which it appears to be two figures with a lot of video artifact going on. It is some kind of crazy blur happening to these two things on screen, and it creates what looks like a hooved being moving in a very awkward and unnatural way. I actually saw this video when during my TikTok scrolling hour before bed. I think I even may have responded to it at some point because the more I looked at it, it looked like it might be two people, and the person closest has crutches and is using crutches to walk because it's a very strange gait that is happening. And it made me think that maybe one of them's using crutches and the other person is standing, on the other side of them, creating a big mass. And the leg, the hoof that you're talking about, when you watch it, it looks like it might be a crutch. And that's my logical brain. If
you play the video back, watch the figure furthest away from the camera. Watch like a hand or whatever. Watch the movement of the hand. So it's like the hand goes, and it's like a wave motion. It's like kind of like how somebody,
dolphin
hands outside of the car.
Yeah.
Outside of the car window. That's kind of how that looked. Mm-hmm. And so, that's weird.
It's super weird. It's a weird video. If you watch it, you'll see that watching it makes you go, what? And because I also thought that the other person had a phone up to their face and was putting it down, and the whatever bizarre video artifact that's happening that's causing it to stretch out like that.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to go supernatural with it,
sure.
It definitely looks like a goat-legged
like
thing.
a centaur,
or a pan, a satyr, or I still stick to the fact that it looks like one person walking with crutches and a person standing next to them.
Yeah,
it doesn't read, because I'm very familiar with people walking with crutches, that specific type of gait.
Sure.
Which is a lurch.
It's a lurch,
a foot goes down and it lurches. So even if you're because if you're walking on hooves, I don't see having to swing the body, forward. And that's my take is, even if it is like they put a green screen over someone with crutches and using the crutch legs, because being a theater person, I have in many instances used crutches to create a four-legged effect, for theater, costuming.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it definitely gives a vibe. Just the way they're moving, it doesn't feel like a creature necessarily. It feels like two people walking by, because I immediately saw two people there. But it is also not out of the realm of possibility. It could have been cosplayers in an outfit or something.
Oh, yeah, costume, sure.
Absolutely.
Because...
Could have been Halloween.
Well, exactly, because, it is really common now for a lot of cosplayers to get these kind of sock-like things that
look
are
like hooves.
To make your feet look like actual hooves.
Yeah. Basically, high heels without the heel part will create that. I'm doing this with my hands, so for people who are listening, I'm pretending my hands are hooves.
Yeah, it bends your foot in a way that, basically...
You're walking on tiptoes.
Yeah, and your heel kind of makes that, jut out section of, how it would look on a goat or whatever you're playing. And so a lot of times people utilize those for their centaur costumes or, their pan, cosplays or things like that. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't know why I got the vibe for it was oh, it's kind of like our demon, for how we have at the theater, we have a demon, and kind of if he's just walking, the actor's just walking after the show. Sure, he's got features that look creepy, but he's moving like a normal human being. Absolutely. And so that's why I lean a little bit more on that side. I don't know if it's paranormal or cryptid or anything.
And I'd like to just take a minute for all of our podcast listeners. If this, what we're doing right now, if it doesn't jive with you, if you're not enjoying kind of the description of the video and whatnot, we can find workarounds. I can upload a video to Spotify and all that too. But just shoot us a message on Instagram or can you message through TikTok?
No.
Okay, through Instagram, and just let us know hey, listen, I love your podcast. Didn't really like that episode because it was tough to visualize everything, and we'll listen to that. But we're trying something. We're trying something new.
And this one specifically is about what it looks like. It's not really event oriented, so hopefully the other videos won't be so much. Look at that. That looks weird.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. Moving on. All right. So let's see. Here we go. Can y'all see?
Yes.
I really don't think I'm ever going to be able to escape this shit. Listen to it. Listen to that pedaling. Jesus. I mean, this is my whole closet right here. This is my kitchen.
All right. So, to let them know what was happening.
So basically, it seemed as though a person were lying in their bed when a loud knocking came at their door. He jumps out of bed. He runs towards the door. He opens the door. It's his closet. There's nothing there. That is a very difficult get when you're watching and I've seen many of these, the rattling of the door handle and you open the door and there's nothing there. Knocking at the door, you open the door, there's nothing there. It is definitely one of the probably easiest to fake things because we have no perception of where the sound is coming from. As he was running to the closet, his front door was right there.
That's what I was thinking.
And so it was very difficult for me to know whether it was the front door, because I thought it was the front door knocking when he was going towards it. He opens the closet door. And so we take it on faith that it was the closet door. That's not to say that this was not happening to him, that it's a full debunk. It's just hard to tell what's going on. But I want to imagine that this person, whoever it is who loaded this, has a string of videos of this kind of behavior because his apartment's very small.
Yeah.
He gave us a full tour of his apartment in one swing around. So we saw his kitchen, his bedroom area, his closet, his door. So all in all, this is not atypical of poltergeist activity. A poltergeist, literally noisy ghost, oftentimes is the beating of doors. Door knocking is one of the big ones. Slamming of dishes, hearing things clank and bop, and all the sounds that also can easily be attributed to a house settling or things of that nature. But with a persistent poltergeist, getting you up and moving, getting you to investigate, getting you in that air of trying to figure out what's going on, that's the poltergeist bread and butter.
Yeah. I was going to say, if that is real, that is a very aggressive entity.
Well, yeah.
That is scary.
It's aggressively trying to get attention. Now, I actually have experience with something similar to this with the Davenport house. If you go all the way up to the 3rd floor, there is this closet area where you'll hear the banging on the door, and then when you get up there, it's like one of those ring doorknob sorts things. So it's like a little ring, and you pull it, and that's what opens the door.
Yeah.
And the ring's just going like, pew, pew, like for those of you who are not watching me, do what the pew, pew, this noise is. It's just spinning.
The sound should tell you everything.
Yes, you know what a pew, pew, pew noise is, right? But the ring will just be spinning super aggressively, and it happened like almost every night, And so it's very common to hear from people saying like, oh, I always hear like knocking at my door or pounding on walls or things like that.
Yeah, mine doors are literal portals.
Yeah,
that is what they are. They're a portal into your house, and not the supernatural kind. I mean, the literal definition, portal. You are entering from one area to another through the opening. So it is highly recognizable by spirits as how to enter a place. So sometimes opening a door with excessive knocking is the kind of activity that they're really hoping for. They're really hoping for acknowledgement. They're hoping for you to interact, open the door, let them in.
So let me tell you how I would debunk this. Basically, I would take that audio file and I would do a reverse search on Google of the audio file, and I would see if it came up with in any sound effect.
Oh, that pattern of knocking?
Just the knocks in general, because it's oftentimes like a reverse search on a Google image, very, very accurate. And so, it might come up with a sound effect from soundbible.com or something, not a sponsor, but it might come up with something from the internet that the person who made this video downloaded, put it in an editing software, and either did it one after the other, or took 3 of them and made them sporadic, or it was literally just those knocks one after the other, and you just put the entire sound clip down. I've used knocks a bunch in videos, and I recognize that knock. It might be one from one of the common websites that I use, Motion Array and stuff like that, to download sound effects. So I'm not convinced.
You're suspicious.
Although I would not, if I were to do that, I would not go through the trouble of downloading.
I completely agree.
I just knock on a door to
sure,
make it.
Sure.
That.
But yes, absolutely. But I'm thinking from the normal person who maybe is not a filmmaker like you, Chris, like Foley art is kind of tough, especially when you have this video where the knocks are, I believe the knocks are the same volume all the way through as he nears the knocks, which tells me
that he's not getting closer.
To him. And so I just don't know if people are going to go through the. I don't know if people are going to go through having someone knock and then getting closer to it.
No, I meant recording.
Oh, like literally just standing
knocking,
there.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then using the sound from that instead of looking for repeated knocking.
No. Okay, so I see what you mean. So you're saying like this person didn't like go up towards the knocks while he had someone knock.
I'm saying if you're going to put a sound over a video, why not make the sound yourself rather than
let's listen to it again and see if the knocks get closer.
Okay.
Also pay attention to the door itself as it gets closer.
That's what I was
because it might be
looking for.
rattling, it might be moving.
Absolutely.
I did not see that the first
No,
time.
I didn't see it.
I'm going to turn up the brightness all the way. Let's try it again.
I really don't think I'm ever going to be able to escape this shit. Listen Listen to it.
No.
Listen to that.
No.
I'd
There was
say
no
it's the
there was
same.
no pounding on the door. Like the door wasn't moving, and it was the exact same volume. So that's in my opinion, we can debunk that one.
I will not go on record to debunk, but I will say that is compelling.
Yes, that is very compelling insight, because that was exactly what I looked for the first time. I was looking for that door handle to just like kind of be popping,
Or just the door vibrating. even.
exactly. But I didn't see it at all. The door did not move, and I agree. I would have wanted him to at least open the front door as well to show that there's nothing.
Nobody outside.
Sure.
The front door.
Sure.
But
creepy video.
Definitely
And
creepy.
Yeah, I'm glad people are making videos like these, even if they are,
Well,
like
then the question is,
filming, like,
does this
making
person
them.
have more?
Right.
Does that person have more video?
Yeah, we should look into
evidence?
that, I
So,
guess.
And we will. We'll try to figure out, what the root of it is, because if that's happening once, it's probably happening often. It's
Yeah.
the kind of thing
Exactly.
that you would expect.
For sure. And go ahead and continue tagging us in these on TikTok, because if we do more episodes, obviously of this type, we need to be tagged in them to find them and stuff like that. So cool. All right. Oh boy, that did happen. Okay, hold on. All right, here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So this happened today in Springfield, Ohio, at Greenmount Cemetery.
So it looks like we're looking at a tree that has been struck by lightning.
Well, so here's
That's what it looked like.
So some background info on that one in particular. The caption did say, "This is on top of a grave."
Oh, yeah.
So,
He said it was in a
yes.
cemetery.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at is a tree that is smoking. At the base of the tree, you can see white rock, which more than likely was tombstone or some cemetery marker of some type. The tree had a long black stripe in it. It was smoking. It looked like one of the branches might have been blown off.
Yeah.
Which is indicative of a lightning strike. And moreover, that means the person who was filming it was probably close enough.
Yeah.
And that would have been a terrifying moment.
Yeah. Which is, creepy to begin with, even if a lightning strike, it's scary to have a lightning strike hit anything in general, but then have it hit a grave is even more creepy. So it's definitely an odd video. Basically, though, the fire and stuff, I'm like that. The graves don't just combust in that way. They don't just suddenly. That's not how these things work.
No.
No ghost is literally
However,
like
a lightning
fire in the tree.
A lightning strike to a grave is, that's straight out of any horror movie. That's
Absolutely.
Frankenstein and
Yeah, but when we did the mobile podcast in West Virginia at the, why am I blanking on the name of the fairgrounds of the
Lake Shawnee?
amusement park, Lake Shawnee amusement park, he mentioned that the ground would burn randomly sometimes. You don't remember that?
Vaguely.
Oh, so the guy at Lake Shawnee, he said that, and they had photos of the ground burning. Like it was literally smoking in just certain spots, random spots, not near any structure, just in the grass. And it wouldn't, and he said one time it just wouldn't stop smoking, like for days. Like it just embers, and they didn't understand because it's just soul underneath. So it's like they didn't understand that, and maybe that could be something.
Totally. If you want to go with it paranormally,
This is actually the most convincing video I've seen.
Yeah.
Yes, it could be a lightning. I know you disagree.
well, no, convincing of what is the question?
Convincing of being
it wasn't
being
faked.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely happening.
That's not what I mean. So these videos are trying to do something. They're trying to get us to believe in them and the poster is trying to say, hey, paranormal. And if someone said, hey, paranormal for the last two videos, I could tell you exactly how I would do it to make it, to make it to make that video. But that one in particular, I don't really know what a lightning strike. I know that a lightning strike like goes up a tree and all that stuff, and it can fry a tree, but I just remember everything from Lake Shawnee, what the guy told us about the ground burning, and then I think I like remember something about the ground burning from something else that we've done on this podcast in season
burning?
1. Yeah,
I don't recall
like
much
someone,
ground burning.
Like one of our guests brought it up or something like that.
Possible. And ground burning is not because ground burning too has many causes,
scientific causes.
There's,
sure,
methane, natural deposits of gas. There's, you're in coal mining country in Virginia, but a lightning strike strikes the top and it drives down. That's where that black stripe is. I've seen many trees that have been struck by lightning, and so that looks like a lightning strike. However, again, a lightning strike on a grave is peculiar. It's strange, and that is strange. It's very bizarre. And since there are many trees around, the fact that it chose that tree, it does make you go, oh, that's definitely something to regard. I don't know, again, to the level at which I would say is paranormal is abnormal. Yeah, is a better way to say it.
I would love to know whose grave it was.
Same. I want context.
I want context.
Yeah.
I want to know whose grave it was, because if it was a guy who maybe cheated on his wife and his wife just recently died, maybe,
she struck his
grave. Maybe I don't know what kind of power she got in the afterlife.
And there's the whole concept too of a tree growing out of a grave oftentimes is drawing life from the body underneath, and thereby has an unnatural property to it.
Yeah.
And that in itself gives it unnatural properties, and those unnatural properties could draw unnatural consequences.
Sure.
And I want to say that this is true in a lot of, you actually hear it in fairy tales and druid practices and things like that, where you would plant a tree over the grave of a loved one and then go to the tree for Cinderella.
Yeah.
You go to the tree that grew over the grave for spiritual guidance, for spiritual providence. So
yeah, you
that
use yew trees, YEW. Usually,
yep.
Yew trees are very commonly used for that. But and
elm trees actually.
Oh, yep.
Elm.
Yeah, and so it's it's tricky. It's like I kind of also want to know if
Not
there's
elm.
any
Sorry,
more.
Willow.
Yeah, willow.
I will rephrase. Not elm. Willow trees.
Yeah,
love good willow.
Yes. The weeping willows. But I want to know if there's ever since it happened, if there was any large surges in paranormal activity. Mm-hmm. Or,
absolutely.
Because lightning, of course, that's one of the strongest forces of electricity, if you will. And so, that's going to surge up some spirits.
Ghost buffet.
Yeah, a ghost buffet of lightning. It's...
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wish we could ask questions, because...
Drop a line.
Because I do believe this person. I love how I'm talking to your phone right now. They're here in the phone. And so... But yeah, I believe this happened, and I think this person just kind of happened to be there.
Sure.
And they're like, this is a weird thing. Yep. Or they're trying to say the only in Ohio, or
it's spooky.
Yeah. But I want to know if they have any context at all. But I definitely don't think it's a faked video by any means.
No. In order to do that, they would have had to set a tree on fire in a cemetery. Don't do that.
In a really weird way,
too.
Because you could see the flame inside the tree.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's for sure not
burn.
faked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's obviously for sure not faked. And absolutely could be just lightning. But I don't know. This one just struck me, especially because
no
you have that
intended.
knob. that knob, the tree knob that's coming out. I think it was a branch or something. Mm-hmm. But it's the base of the branch is the main smoking thing. It's it's got a mouth that's
if you go to the Midway
Cemetery,
you'll find a giant tree that is growing out of several graves. You could walk into it because it's just hollowed out.
That's cool.
So that tree is probably got a huge hollow in it.
Oh, okay.
Which, if the lightning strikes, the interior of the tree, having dried out and died, would burn for a while.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I feel like this one for me is like if each of these posters are trying to say this is paranormal, this would be the one that's like screaming paranormal to me, just because the first one, I mean, I could give you a couple other different ways. You could put power windows around the people walking, and then and then export it to where it's just super compressed.
Yeah, I just think it's
and then it's artifacts.
A skipping video.
I agree.
I mean, I think that's poor Wi-Fi is what that is.
Absolutely.
Ooh, the Wi-Fi's bad.
No, that's actually a really good point. Because the when the Wi-Fi is bad and you get those like artifacts and stuff, the things that are moving are usually the things that it can't keep up with.
Right.
So yeah, I think and then the second one, you can just add knocking to that. But this one was, I don't know, it was interesting. All right, so we're gonna go for this one right here. It's a little bit of a longer one, so we'll talk through it and stuff for the podcasters. I'll also be playing the audio. All right, here we go.
You guys are gonna want to stick around for this one. So for over a year now, as many of you know, I have been covering the insane paranormal activity taking place at Lee and Stacy's house, documented on the YouTube channel Really Haunted. This thing has thrown furniture, made things levitate, yeeted computer chairs at Lee while he's in bed. It's gone as far as ripping them from their beds. Oh yeah,
someone was just
once,
sleeping in,
but twice.
Gosh.
Now let's talk present day. In a recent upload to the channel, Lee shows us footage of him just laying on the couch, watching his phone, trying to relax. I gotta tell ya, doesn't look super peaceful.
Lee. Is that Alexa just saying Lee?
Just saying
Lee?
his name over and over again. So this is a video. It is
fun, right?
A compilation.
Believe it or
of
not,
events
this is
in
not
this
the
person's
first
house.
time Alexa has decided to start speaking to him. In fact, it's not even the first time it calls his name. Lee gets so irritated with this thing repeatedly saying his name, he eventually sits up and asks it a question.
I bet you really tell me your name.
Lilith.
Lilith?
It's not Lilith. That's not
Well,
true.
when you put it like that. So now to the crazy part. Every time this spirit manipulates that Alexa, and Lee asks what its name is, it says Lilith. Lee actually goes on to say, no, it's not Lilith. I looked it up after you said that last time, and nobody by that name has ever lived here. No, Lee.
no.
Nobody has. And for some reason, I had to Google it. Lilith, female demonic figure of Jewish folklore. Her name and personality are thought to be derived from the class of Mesopotamian demons called Lilu. And the name is usually translated as night monster. If you are even remotely familiar with Lee and Stacy's story, you know why I am just riddled with chills. Just go ahead and watch the rest of this conversation.
Time is coming.
Who's your master? I demand, in the name of Jesus Christ, you reveal to me who your master is.
Satan. We will kill you.
Tell me your true name.
Lilith. Teehee.
Teehee?
Teehee.
Teehee? Is that what it's saying?
Yeah, it's laughing.
Teehee.
So he is having a conversation with his obviously possessed Alexa.
And I'm going to take away your voice.
Is he Scottish?
So you tell me,
right.
is that Lilith?
All right.
Oh, wow.
That was a fascinating video.
Very interesting. And I think I've actually seen those videos in spread out, because I watch all of the, if you're interested in paranormal videos, there's a couple of sites that kind of compiles them for you. I want to say there's Nuke's Top 5 and there's Slapped Ham, and they will just compile them, and they don't spend any time trying to debunk them or verify them. They're just like, look at this.
Yeah.
And you'll come across really interesting and strange things. In the case of this, what we saw was a lot of furniture moving around, being flung about, and in any rational mind, you would just say strings and someone off camera throwing things. That is the rationale of those things. Like if you were just going to look at it and be like, because all of it is highly replicable.
Oh yeah.
You can find an Alexa voice, manipulator. You can find somebody. You might even have a friend who can imitate Alexa to a certain degree, and then you just kind of digitize it up. That being said, these people have been producing videos of this ilk for a long time. Ilk? They have many style. Ilk? Are you not familiar with ilk?
No.
Of this type.
Okay.
Videos of this type. I'm sorry, I have pulled out some arcane word.
Arcane ilk.
that has broken JT's brain.
It's just the sound of the word, I think. It's
ilk.
Just like...
This ilk.
Okay.
In any case, back to it. Interesting choice of demonic name. Should be noted that in my experiences, demons don't offer up their names.
No, they don't.
They don't just tell you who they are, but they might tell you a fake name, and they might tell you a name that isn't their name.
Sure.
Although generally they wouldn't choose another demon's name, now would they?
So Lilith, though, she has gotten a horrible rap. I'm actually very familiar with Lilith's lore, and she was demonized by Christianity because
that's a tricky term altogether. It's true because Lilith did serve as first woman. Yeah, that whole mythos, but there's a Lilith that predates the Bible.
Well, that is true as well.
And it predates that notion of that first woman story, and Lilu is and Lilith in that ilk again survive in a strange place because we have multiple Liliths, because you've got Lilith that was the first vampire, you have Lilith that was the first woman who became independent and stronger than Adam and said no thank you, and left the garden of her own free will. And when you think about that and you go back to the Bible and you start reading it, when Adam and Eve left the garden, there were people outside the garden. Adam and Eve's children married the outsiders. And the tribes of man actually existed outside of the garden. And a lot of people don't pay attention to that. They don't think about that, because the Adam and Eve story is actually secondary to the creation of man and woman.
Sure.
In Genesis, there's a reboot in Genesis,
Yeah.
right there in the middle. And when it comes down to it, there were the chosen and then the rest. It's like, how do you get the chosen away from the rest? Well, there was a rest. In any case, that makes Lilith actually the matron of society, of civilization. So there's a lot of arguments about Lilith, but the name is stained, which means if a demon wanted to mislead you.
Oh, exactly. And it's gotten to be more common as well. And so people are starting to learn more about Lilith and things like that. And so, if you are not knowledgeable of it, you're like, oh, Lilith, this monster lady, things like that. But immediately when it said my name's Lilith, I'm like, no, it's not. It's definitely not Lilith, because Lilith does not behave in that way. From people who have encountered Lilith, that's not her MO. She's not somebody yeeting computer chairs at people. She just isn't. She's looking for people to worship her in a way. She wants a following. She wants,
It's also worth noting, Lilith is not an unpopular name.
It's not.
Lilith has been a name forever. There have been many Liliths in the world, so it is not abnormal either that Lilith would and could be just some person who passed.
Sure. But they did say in the video that he couldn't find any evidence that somebody lived or died there. So, it's tricky. But I am leaning more towards the side because, I believe this guy, because of the fact that he's having so many occurrences that it is something.
I know that in cases he has sent, the reason why he was sleeping on the couch was he had sent his family out of the house, to live out there away from the house, for fear of damage and for fear of harm.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the Amazon Alexa thing. So where I'm kind of confused with that is when you ask Alexa a question, she's not obviously she's not an actual person, she's AI, but what I believe that is doing, I'm no Amazon, Alexa expert, but what I believe that is doing is you go, Alexa, what's the weather like today? And what Alexa does is send something back to Amazon servers. It connects to Google, all that stuff. She pulls the weather from the Weather Channel or whatever and for that location. After accessing a location, brings it back to you and then spits it out. So how would you really think a demon would be able to intercept that to be able to just completely ignore Amazon servers or send a signal to Amazon servers? Do you really think that's gonna a demon's gonna be that intelligent with nowadays technology?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think it's more likely than anything. Mm-hmm. It's more likely than anything because the stories that we have always heard. Dolls that have voice boxes.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to say.
Manipulating those voice boxes to speak to people.
Oh, for sure.
That voice box is no different than Alexa, but Alexa has every word that has ever been uttered ever somewhere within it.
Okay.
Far more likely that you can access any string of words you want utilizing a vessel that gives voice to the internet. It literally has all collective knowledge of all things. And so the very thing that you're saying is the reason why it would limit a spirit. The internet to me is going to be a gateway to paranormal. We're going to figure this out. It's going to break things because we have created a place where every word ever created in just about every language exists in one repository, one mind, if you will, accessible through electric impulses.
Okay.
Accessible through waves in the air that we cannot see or understand. Your Bluetooth connection is basically a psychic phenomenon from your phone to the internet. Yeah. It is utilizing invisible waves to communicate one way or the other back and forth. So, for instance, there was a huge rash of ghostly phone calls. People receiving phone calls in the middle of the night from dead relatives. People receiving phone calls in the dead of night from demonic and dark forces. And I think that was because there was this new technology of communication through electricity, through the wires, through all these things.
Sure.
So to me, this is the idea of Alexa becoming a voice box for something. That makes perfect sense to me because I'm always of the mind of where are they getting their words? When the voice box was a doll who's calling your name.
Yeah.
When the name isn't programmed into the doll. That doesn't make sense to me. It's it's because now it's manipulating electric impulse. It's somehow accessing the patterns of connection and overriding the recording. But, something that is a repository for every utterance and also knowledge of things like Satan and literally if you're just a ghost and you're I've got access to the internet now. And this guy's who are you? I was Lilith, I'm Lilith. Yeah. I was that concept is somewhere in there. It makes a lot more sense to me that it is some kind of real prankster ghost, real potent prankster ghost. And like I said, it seems like he's Scottish. I don't want to be insulting to.
It sounded
Scottish, or at the very least, the UK area. What interests me is that area is steeped in ghost lore, and that is just pure dripping ghost. So you give a ghost a new toy, and if it can figure out how to access it,
my rebuttal to that is that Alexa doesn't have a library of, at least I don't think this is how it works. Alexa doesn't have a library of every word uttered in her machine. It's all through Wi-Fi. And so
that's my point too.
Okay. So you're saying that the ghost is using Amazon's servers to speak what it wants to speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's in the same kind of concept of a spirit box. It's just like spirit box on crack.
It is spirit box on crack. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's like, it really is.
Because even the apps that we use only have X number of words loaded into it.
Yeah.
And those words are tied to impulses that is receiving. So the Ghost Tube app only has like 800 words in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you were unfettered, if you had just that access, and the concept of Wi-Fi being, we can explain Wi-Fi technically, absolutely, but ultimately it's magic. Ultimately, I'm sorry, you're not going to convince me otherwise. It's magic, no matter how scientifically you explain it. It is
Wi-Fi is magic.
Yeah, it is images, video, voice, words, thoughts, ideas transmitted seamlessly through the air to this thing I carry in my pocket. The idea that repository could be accessed because it's an electrical anomaly, and it does suggest that a savvy ghost. And I always thought that TV was another one. TV has in it so much broadcast capability and so much draw and electricity and power. Yeah. Back in the 90s when we were doing ghost hunting, we used to turn TVs on and off, right before we started a hunt, because the energy, the electricity, the sheer electrical power and broadcast receiving and transmitting power of a TV was something that we thought would attract spirits. Ghosts would be drawn to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. And then when it comes to like the chair flipping,
again,
but I'm trying to think of how I would do that though. It flipped like really fast and it flipped really perfectly.
It did.
And
kind of landed back on its feet.
It kind of landed, and then it fell over. Yeah. But like, doing that with like fishing line, I'm like wondering, like how I would tie that up to execute that almost perfectly.
You don't watch enough kung fu movies, my friend.
Uh-oh.
Basically, if I wanted it to flip, I would actually wrap the fishing line once around and then to the furthest leg. That way, when I pull, it'll flip and land. However, to execute it well, without there being some external sign of it, how far away would you have to be?
Yeah.
And because of the way it flipped, is like you would imagine where the line would have to be in order for it to flip that direction.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying if they are executing it, they're doing it well. I was weirded out. So for you listening, there was a scene in which it looked like maybe a suitcase or something was being lifted.
Yes.
And there was
the smoke.
Yes.
And the smoke was distracting to me.
It was.
Because it definitely looked like an added-on effect to me.
It did. It did to me too.
And so
that's the next thing I was going to bring up.
That makes it difficult to just take at face value.
Yes.
Because the moment you see something that you're like, that really looks like, and in my estimation, it's the kind of thing you would do if when you looked at the video, you saw the contraption or you saw the line. Because that one went up and then flew very fast off.
Sure.
But it was the only one that had that weird smoke that I've seen.
And you can for people who don't know, because they're just not video people or filmmakers, basically you can download on multiple different websites.
Absolutely.
Kind of like how you download like a vector image of a logo that has no background. They have the same thing that you can export from not Premiere but After Effects.
Oh yeah.
And you can export that, and you can make literally
just overlay it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just
you can do it on your phone.
It's transparent.
There's plenty of transparencies that you can just do that. So that was troublesome for believing. That put a crimp in it, because the question was, well, why does this one have smoke and the others don't?
Exactly.
And the only answer I could come up with is, well, you can see the string.
Yeah.
And so you need to cover it up. So you put smoke in front of it.
Oh.
Because
think about that.
And that's the only thing I could think of, because it was not, because the smoke doesn't appear anywhere else.
Yep.
You don't see the smoke anywhere else. You don't see these things. They are dragged. There's several scenes of them being dragged out of bed.
Very paranormal activity.
Mm-hmm. And that is, there's numerous ways to affect that. And one of them is literally a physicality. You can push yourself and then use your slick sheets to pull yourself.
Yeah.
So, a lot of it does raise the question. I do not, again, I'm not a debunker. I don't enjoy that activity, but I do have those telltales like, okay, that's going to raise doubt. That's going, and that's going to make it difficult to believe what comes next. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they do LiDAR too. They had some LiDAR stuff.
They did do some LiDAR stuff. It's just like, I have some reservations with it because it could very easily be something that we've seen in the past, not like us particularly, but I have at least seen in the past where they want to advertise a new series that's coming out, and they're doing, found footage sort of things, or they're
viral
doing
ad.
Exactly. And so I could totally see this being scripted out by somebody who doesn't actually have a comprehension of how demons work, and they're like, yes, Lilith, it makes sense because it's a night woman and whatever,
right.
Like
demon names,
exactly.
night monster. Right.
And so, I could see that being the case. Nonetheless, it's very creepy and honestly a little bit comical at times because it's...
Oh, yeah. The computer chair.
The computer chair was hilarious.
So the image is they're lying in bed and then a chair just like comes from off screen and lands on them. And...
it looks so chucked.
It just looks like someone yeeted the chair at them. And you're like... Well,
why?
That's just someone throwing a chair at you. I would talk to your roommates.
Right.
It had an arch to it and everything.
It did. Yeah, but it's definitely interesting. It's fun to talk about these types of videos because overall, we won't ever really truly know if they were fake or if they were real or whatever, but it's fun to talk about. So let us know if you enjoyed listening to us talk about these sort of things, or even if you want us to roll into the realm of creepypastas or something.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We could totally do things like that. I know a lot of people have asked if we could do Dear David, which is just at least 3 episodes worth of material right there. But with that, though, y'all, if you don't already follow us on social media, you can find us on TikTok under Haunted City Podcasts. You can also find us on Instagram under The Most Haunted City on Earth. You can find us on Patreon to become a Parajunkie under that. And then also, if you want merch, we have hauntedcitypodcast.com, and I'm going to start writing some, paranormal little blog posts and stuff. So if you want to read things that I have to say about ghosty things, you can find it on our website. But with that, y'all, my name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susi.
Stay spooky, y'all.